Hey guys, welcome back to reading. So on Monday with Miss Twillis, you guys talked about something called character traits. And when we learn about traits about a character, we kind of just learn about them from what they say and what they do in the story. Just like how you learn about your family members or your friends or your favorite character on a TV show, you learn things about them by like what they're saying, what they're doing over and over again when you read about them. So I want to do something real quick with you before we get started. I want you to close your eyes. And I'm going to kind of tell you a story. And I want you to just kind of picture yourself in this story. So it's a hot summer day and you're on the beach. You go to get a triple scoop ice cream cone, your favorite ice cream. Once you walk away from the ice cream stand, you are holding it really carefully in your hand. Just as you go to lick it, it falls off the cone and into the sand. Now pause. What would you do right after the ice cream fell? I'm going to give you a minute to respond. You can tell someone next to you, you can tell your parents. What would you do? All right. So a lot of your answers were probably different. If your parents shared an answer or your siblings shared an answer, what they would do, it might have been different than what you would have done. And the way we respond to problems can be very different. Okay. So there's many ways. So like maybe when your ice cream fell, you might cry and walk away because you're really upset about it. You might say, oh, well, and then maybe walk up to the ice cream stand and say, hey, can I have another one? My ice cream fell. Or maybe you notice like only a little bit of the ice cream got sandy and you might clean it off and still try to eat it. So as you can see, with one problem, there's many ways to respond. And that's kind of what I want to show you today. So today I want to teach you that the way a person responds to trouble says a lot about who that person is. In real life or in stories too, the way a person responds to trouble or to a problem gives clues as to what kind of person this is. So you guys have learned a lot about Frog and Toad already. With Miss Schoolis, you guys kind of learned from a story that Toad's a little grumpy. He's a little lazy. He's tired a lot of the time. And then you did some work on your own to read a story and collect information about Frog and Toad. So we already know a little bit about them. We know they're best friends. They hang out all the time, right? And we know Toad is a little grumpy. He's sometimes a little negative, and Frog is a little different. So we can learn even more about them when we start looking at not only what they're saying or doing, but how they respond to the trouble that they're facing in the story or the problem. All right, guys, so today we're going to look at another story of Frog and Toad. And not only are we going to continue collecting information like you were doing with Miss Willis, we're going to look at what can we also learn about Frog and Toad by the way they react to or solve the problems that they're facing in the story. So you know from Miss Willis that you guys started filling out a chart or maybe a sticky note of how you of the information you collected about the characters. So we know Toad is grumpy a lot of the time. He's sort of lazy and he's tired. Okay. So we're going to read the story tomorrow. And I want you to continue collecting that information about both characters, but also looking at how is Toad responding to the problem. Okay. Let's get started. Tomorrow, Toad woke up. Drat, he said. This house is a mess. I have so much work to do. Frog looked through the window. Toad, you are right, said Frog. It is a mess. Toad pulled the covers over his head. I will do it tomorrow, said Toad. Today I will take life easy. So go ahead and pause for just a second and kind of tell yourself, how is Frog or Toad, how is Toad handling this problem? Let's keep going. Frog came into the house. Toad, said Frog, Your pants and jacket are lying on the floor. Tomorrow, said Toad from under the covers. Your kitchen sink is filled with dirty dishes, said Frog. Tomorrow, said Toad, there is dust on your chairs. Tomorrow, said Toad, your windows need scrubbing, said Frog. Your plants need watering. Tomorrow, cried Toad, I will do it all tomorrow. So let's continue and think. Let's stop and think. How is Toad responding to the problem? And then think, the next question is, what does that make you think about Toad? So it kind of furthers what we've been talking about. He is grumpy. He's being lazy because he's just putting it all off to tomorrow, and he's tired, right? Now, I want you to think as I keep reading about Frog. How is Frog responding to the same problem? What is the problem? Toad's house is a mess. And we know Toad is responding. He's grumpy about the mess. He doesn't want to do it. He's being lazy, so he's staying in bed. And he's tired because he's in bed. He's still there, just sitting there saying, I'll do it all tomorrow. So how is Frog responding to the problem? Let's see. Toad sat on the edge of his bed. Blah, said Toad. I feel down in the dumps. Why? Asked Frog. I am thinking about tomorrow, said Toad. I'm thinking about all the many things that I will have to do. Yes, said Frog. Tomorrow will be a very hard day for you. But Frog, said Toad, if I pick up my pants and jacket right now, then I will not have to pick them up tomorrow, will I? No, said Frog, you will not have to. Toad picked up his clothes and he put them in the closet. Frog, said Toad, if I wash my dishes right now, then I will not have to wash them tomorrow, will I? No, said Frog, you will not have to. Toad washed and dried his dishes. He put them in the cupboard. Frog, said Toad, if I dust my chairs and scrub my windows and water my plants right now, then I will not have to do it tomorrow, will I? No, said Frog, you will not have to do any of it. Toad dusted his chair, he scrubbed his window, he watered his plants. There, said Toad, now I feel better. I am not in the dumps anymore. Why? Asked Frog. Because I have done all that work, said Toad. Now I can save tomorrow for something that I really want to do. What is that? Asked Frog. Tomorrow, said Toad, I can just take life easy. Toad went back to bed. He pulled the covers over his head and fell asleep. So let's pause and think at the end of this story now. How did Frog respond to the story? Pause and tell yourself, how did Frog respond to the story? Some things I saw Frog say and do when he was responding to the problem of Toad's room being so messy. Well, first he came in and he was kind of telling Toad about all of this mess he had. Your dishes are messy. Your clothes are on the floor. There's dust everywhere, right? So what does that make you think about Frog? And then throughout the story, as Toad kind of started doing step-by-step cleaning his room, Frog was there to kind of keep him going. You won't have to do that tomorrow, and now you won't have to do that tomorrow. So by how Frog is reacting or responding to the problem, it makes me think a few things about him. So I collected some character traits about him. So by what Frog was doing in the story and how he was reacting to the problem of the messy house, it makes me think that he's responsible. He kept telling Toad that he should be cleaning his house and not putting it off. It kind of makes me feel like he's bossy because what was he saying or doing? He just kept telling Toad over and over again all the things that were in his house. Like, you have dust, you have this, you should be cleaning. He's a little bossy, right? But he's also in the end very encouraging of his friend. His friend Toad decides to get up. He does it step by step to clean his room. And then he eventually, his friend Frog keeps telling him, yeah, you won't have to do that tomorrow. You also won't have to do that tomorrow, right? So by how Toad and Frog have handled or responded to the problem in the story gives us more clues about who they are as characters. And I could also add to my list about Toad because in the end, he sort of persevered. Yes, he's kind of grumpy and lazy and tired, but he did get up. And as he did small steps and realized he wouldn't have to do it tomorrow, he persevered through the end and cleaned his whole house. Okay, so as you're reading today, I want you to continue thinking about how you're going to be collecting information about the characters you're reading. Okay, so have a great time reading today, friends, and keep practicing collecting information about characters.